There is one rule that makes pools so much easier, but surprisingly many amateurs are afraid to use it, even though it really works. We need to get from one ball to the free ball, but the biggest problem make these balls, which highly limit positioning possibilities. Trying to break through these balls using one or two rails is a very risky task that will end very badly in most cases. There is actually one chance to go very close to the 4 ball and leave the cue ball in center area of the table, but then we are leaving quite uncomfortable cut shot which may result with missing free ball or leaving the cue ball in very bad place. This situation would be much easier if there was no 6 ball, because by extending the previous path we can guide the cue ball very close to the side rail to play free ball into the bottom left corner, but unfortunately the reality is completely different. So, when you are facing such a situation, you need to ask yourself what will happen if we use natural path of the cue ball. On this shot, applying a center ball guides the cue ball around the table along pretty nice path, and the only critical aspect will be speed control to land close enough to the side rail for good shape on the free ball. This one right here is gonna be a very tricky situation. We need to get from one ball to the 8 ball, however, because opponent's ball block access to this corner pocket, we are actually forced to play 8 ball into that corner. Making one ball into the side pocket is possible, but because we are facing a very thin cut shot, then it is impossible to stop the cue ball in bottom area, and in most cases we scratch in corner pockets. If there was no stripe ball, the situation would be much easier, because then we could play one ball into the bottom left corner, and by applying top left spin we can very easily land on the right side with perfect shape on the 8 ball. To leave the cue ball on the other side of the table using same type of positioning, we should use more speed, but in this scenario it doesn't work because cue ball is going closer to tangent line and we scratch in side pockets. This positioning would be possible if both balls were a bit lower, because then we would have more access to the left side rail. So once again, to get shape on the 8 ball we need to slightly change our mindset and use more rails, and such an option would be playing one ball into the same corner pocket, but with low right spin. If we hit the cue ball with firmer stroke, then we are able to follow a very long but also safe path, contacting 3 or 4 rails. However, the crucial key will be to make a contact with top rail quite close to this corner pocket, to avoid landing behind the stripe ball, and we can achieve it by applying just bit of low right. This type of spin causes the cue ball to hit left side rail bit higher, so positioning to the 8 ball will be much more predictable. We are facing quite thin cut shot on 4 ball and need to get to the 6 ball, but once again there are balls which make a problem. However, despite this, many players will try to find a tiny gap between these balls to get shape on the 6 ball into this corner pocket, which is extremely difficult to predict due to high amount of inside spin. On the other hand, there is a group of players who will try to stop the cue ball in the bottom area to play 6 ball into that corner pocket. And actually, this decision is even worse, because we experience a very thin cut shot, so cue ball still has a lot of momentum despite applying quite low speed. So, on this shot, by hitting the cue ball with low right, we are able to get through quite a large gap between 7 and 9 and produce very creative 4 rail positioning to the 6 ball. All these situations have one very important thing in common that really works, but many players tend to forget about it. Sometimes by choosing a tougher shot with multi-rail positioning, we can get easier shape on the next ball and avoid all problems. This is a skill many pros possess, and it allows them to control the cue ball much better than amateurs. So, with just a simple shift in mindset, you can also start playing more like a pro.